Hello everyone. The topic today is love. Very interesting. Okay. It's often been postulated that the opposite of love is hate. However, I think that the opposite of love is indifference. Can love and hate be mutually exclusive, or do they require one another to manifest? Irma.
Love and hate. Wow. Let me tell you about my mom and my dad. My mom and my dad had 13 kids. They're still married. There's so much love, but there's so much hate because there's so many kids that just put them against each other. I know that deep inside they love each other, but financially and because of the kids, it's just, right now there's too much hate between them. Good thing that my dad bought a 2-story house. My mom lives upstairs. My dad lives upstairs. He comes to eat and then he goes downstairs. 2 of my brothers wanted their own room, so they live with my dad. The rest live on top. Love is weird, but there is love and hate, but you know what? They're working together and they're still together for the benefit of all of us. So when I go see them, I have to go upstairs and I go downstairs. But you know what? It works for them and they're not divorced. So there is a fine line between them and we have to respect that.
Very interesting. Okay. Sometimes, parents or elders have to make decisions out of love that their children may not understand. Can you tell us about a time when someone gave you guidance and in your naive self being you rejected it, but now you embrace it and that is not, okay. Can you tell us about a time when someone that gave you guidance out of love, but being naive, you didn't see it as such back then? And tell us how your view on the subject has changed now that you've matured. Doug.
Postulate for a moment that you suffer from hubris. And what is hubris? Hubris is having an aggrandized sense of self, right? Not only does your underwear not stink, you're substantially above the average schmo, right? Guilty. When I was a young man, I went through trade school while I was in high school, and I was taken on the world by storm. By storm. So when this nice elderly gentleman took me aside and said, "Son, these people have forgotten more than you will ever know." Yeah. So when a kindly elder person who may happen to know something that you don't, stop, take a deep breath, make note of what they're saying. You may not be able to appreciate it at the moment, but at least think about it. Take it away. When the world rolls a pearl, and that's what it is, a pearl in front of you, for whatever reason, whether it's because they love you, or whether they see something of themselves in you, or perhaps they're just tired of seeing arrogant people. But learn from what life teaches you. Life will teach you a great many things. Mr. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, with love being such a popular topic in society, sometimes as children, we try to imitate the love seen between adults and claim it for ourselves, when in actuality it's just a crush, infatuation, or puppy love. So, MaryJane, can you tell us about the first time you had a crush as a child and how you dealt with expressing it?
Thank you, Table Topics Master. The first scenario that came to my mind is when I was 3 years old. And I was young. At a very young age, I knew that I was a hopeless romantic. However, the only males I ever saw were my family members. So I have a cousin who I fell in love with. And I think he was 8, and I was 3. And he was so handsome when I was 3. And I knew that when all the cousins got together at the house, the parents go off, they go to the casino, and the kids stay in the house, and we all had bath time. So I know that, in the bathroom, the boys go and they take a bath. So maybe I was 4, I don't know. I would creep in to the bathroom while my cousin was taking a shower. And then he's like, "What are you doing in here?" And I'd run out. And I was so in love with him. And then he'd come out of the bathroom and I'd give him a hug. And now looking back, it's a little incestuous. But being that I was young and I watch a lot of television and I see my parents kiss and hold hands, I'd try to grab his hand, and he was really freaked out by that. So once I started kindergarten, I met a whole plethora of other young gentlemen my age who were not related to me. And that was my very awkward first love.
That was very good. Okay. So, remind me of your name?
Phil.
Phil, all right. So, Phil, what age should children be allowed to date, and how would you respond to the first time your teenage child came to you and postulated that they had found love?
We all go through the age of how we're going to talk to our children when they get to a certain age. And I see a saying that says, grown up, at what age are we going to do this? Okay? I watch my son with many friends of his and so on and so on. But when he turned 18, I never had the 13-year-old talk with him. His mother did. 18-year-old talk. I had to talk with him. And I'll tell you about the love I had behind all this. When he turned 18, I went out that morning and said, "Oh, you and I are going to have a talk." Dad, I already know all about this. No, you're not listening to what I'm going to say. The reason I'm going to touch this base is because it goes on all day long with everybody and goes on all over the world. I asked my son if he was dating. He said yes. Next question, son. How old is she? He looked at me funny and I go, "Bud, I just want to know how old she is." Well, she's 17. But stop the dating as of now. You are 18 years old. You're considered a young adult. She's 17. Anything that may happen between you two is no longer consensual. So I'm not going to ask if you guys do anything or whatever, but I'm just trying to get something across to you. So when he finally realized what I talked to him about, he called me up one day at work and says, "Dad, I'm going out tonight." And he goes, "The lady is 18 years old." So I go, I guess you understand what I was trying to get across to you. So going back to the love, this is the love I have to give to share with my son, is to pay attention to what's out there in the world that can harm you.
Oh, we got time for one more? Last one?
Yes, we have time.
All right. So, acts of love has shaped the history of the world. They formed nations and torn down kingdoms. Do you postulate that love should be guided by wisdom and experience, or that your wisdom and action should be guided by the love that you have? Atta'ya. Okay. Do you postulate that love should be guided by your wisdom and experience, or that your wisdom and action should be guided by the love you have?
Thank you, Table Topics Master.
You're welcome.
That is a very interesting question, actually. And I would have to say that I think it is a combination of both. In starting out, of course, all we know is raw, true emotion, much as MaryJane did. In that we don't have that wisdom, and we're not possibly at the point to postulate what should happen and what is wrong and what is right. However, as we continue to grow and are educated and just seeing images around us and our family and outside, we begin to gain some wisdom just naturally as well as what is told to us. I think that we often in our world, in our society, see things go wrong when we don't include that emotion, side of emotion and love, and we're just so about brick and mortar, the rules of everything, and we lose that compassion. So it's very important that we include that. And it's not so much that I'm in love with you, but I'm treating you as I would want you to treat me. I'm thinking of others as I would want to be treated and thought of. So it has to be a combination, but not to be naive, because I often fall victim to that quite often. And even at my age now, I'm still realizing that, okay, Atta'ya, you can't think that everybody is perfect and everybody really has your best interest in mind, because they don't. They also are thinking of themselves. So how do you find that fine line? And so it's a continual balancing act.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your contribution. I would now like to turn this over to our Toastmasters.